G'day everybody, Pink Joanna here. I am going to take you on a special journey to my special Dinkum anniversary party build. Now we were going to fly in because this is a very special occasion, and to come and land on the first class helipad right here, put in for the well-to-do visitors to arrive at such an auspicious occasion as the Dinkum first birthday anniversary party. Now this build, I'm going to take you for a bit of a walkthrough, and I will be giving you a rundown on everything that was done and how and why, the thought processes, design ideas, and so forth. Now, if you have a look back here, it says Jackaroo Park Event Centre. You can get a better view of that over here. There we go. So this, if you watched my earlier build, I did a walkthrough of my first build that was part of this event centre. Now, when we had the Dinkum party coming up, I decided that we need to throw in a party room. So here we are. Happy birthday, Dinkum. Main entrance. And if you come down the side here, Dinkum party. Now we'll step on through the doors, everybody, so we can all celebrate this Dinkum party together. Now in here you can see the very cool retro 70s style dance floor, which, if I could animate, would be flashing these lights and changing. I have used the mushroom path to glow like lights, of course, counteracted with the blue of the pearl path because they're a nice contrast and they reflect the lights in different settings. And the red, of course, just looks fancy. It's all part of the feel. It's a contrast to the greeny tones in the mushroom. Now let's go exploring this build. So over here we've got some nice little seating with the little lanterns and Eastern lamps and Eastern tables, along with the stylish couches. So we can have a nice little relax here while we warm up for the party. On the entry, I've used these lamps which carry over from my previous build, where it's like a warehouse aesthetic, and the same with these walls. It gives it that kind of trendy, modern day warehouse look to the building. Although because it's fancy, we have the tiles, the marble flooring. And now over here, what we've got going on here, of course, no Dinkum party for Dinkum fans would be complete without gaming machines. So that's what these are, for everybody that needs to just check in on their game while they're at the party, because let's face it, we would all be doing this if we could while celebrating a Dinkum party. So we've got a few of those lying around. And if you come up to this end, I've put little pots at the entrance and the archways to make the entryways look like there's an actual door. Now up here, using the same red cloth, which looks like a tablecloth, I've just used blocks of dirt and built a little pretend table, but it just looks like one of those long tables where you see all the party food put. The candles, of course, with the plates and the desserts, surrounded by some balloons, so it gives it that very much party feel. I've incorporated these mushroom lamps. They're quite a contrast to the warm light of the entry doors, but it's repeating this feature in the floors. And then of course I've got them over here coming down into the bar because I wanted it to have that nightclub kind of feel to it. And of course every bar in fancy clubs usually has that kind of black lighting or, you know, very, very deep coloured lights. So you can sit there and enjoy a quiet drink. We've got the bartender behind there, just using the kitchen benches. I've put this pearl pathing on the back because that reflects the light really nicely. And then, as I've mentioned in my previous builds, one of the best design skills you can use is to repeat a facet of your design. Now, since I had the pearl path on the floor, we've got it repeating again here on the back wall. And so this whole back corner with the little tables with the drinks and the bar gives it that very nightclub kind of feel to it. Now up here we have the stage. We have a couple of guitars, and these are the velvet rope fencing, just in a single to look like microphones. I've used the advanced, what do you call these things? You put your oars in them. They look like nice big speakers on the stage. And I've used this red pathing behind. Once again, I've carried it across from the table and the dance floor and the entryways. That's that red that's got that, and it's also on my helipad we landed. It's that very, red's a very, I guess when you pair it with white, especially in the gold trim, it just gives it that very fancy, you know, feel that you would get from something that was a very important event. So that's why we've used the red in here. Here I've just built up 2 dirt blocks, or actually 3 dirt blocks, and then put the road pathing on top. And when you stand back here, they look like a couple of big speakers. So we just have, and of course we've got the same lights as at the front door, lighting up the stage a bit more so that the musicians have a bit more light so they can see what they're doing. But of course we've got those glowing mushrooms repeated around the room. It just highlights that feel. It gives it that mood, that ambience of a party venue. And of course we've used our little bartender over here. I'll have a Midorian lemonade, thanks. Okay, so, and of course the bar stools. Now up here, this little guy here in this little room is, it's a cloakroom. Yes, every nightclub, every party venue will usually have somewhere for the guests to keep their coats, their valuables, and they want to party hard, get down, get very hot, so they can store their belongings there. So this was my total party venue, which I felt was very necessary given that Dinkum was celebrating such an amazing achievement, coming to 1 year of absolutely fantastic development. We've all been following it, we've all been playing it and all been obsessed with it. It's just, well, it's my personal all-time favourite game, and it is just an amazing achievement for James Bendon, and I wanted to do my bit to congratulate him on all the wonderful work he's done on this game. Now I used the little glow buttons because I needed a little bit more light for this dance floor, but I tried all the different types of lights, both burying them, putting them up high. None of them just captured quite that feel, that amount of light that I wanted. So I put the glow buttons in there, and they just seem to, they just grab it just right. It just works out perfectly. So that's, my friends, is the party venue. Now, as we continue on out, like I said, we've got the red carpet coming in the doorways. Now over here, I've put a tin fence, and the reason for this is the event centre is going to continue to grow, and it's going to expand out that way. And like any building that's still under construction, you will often see a tin fence marking off the areas that are yet to be built. Nice little path going down the back of the building here. And also keeps us safe from those pesky crooks. And that just takes you back to the main entrance. I've used the stepping stones and the tropical grass. This little lake here, I've just put in a bit of the fencing just on each, just in little chunks, groups of 3 to 5. Odd numbers are always good with design. So they just, rather than putting a jagged fence, just because it gives that appearance of little fenced off areas to complete like a border around the lake without having to completely surround it. Now what I've done in the middle here is this wonderful centerpiece fountain, which I really love the way it worked out. If you go to any kind of casino or big entertainment centre, you'll often see a centerpiece like this out the front. In this case, it's the big pond and the fountain. I've used the lily pads surrounded by usually 3, sometimes 2, just to balance them out. And then along here I've used the large lily pillies and the palm trees, just to give the whole thing that tropical kind of man-made feel. Like this whole section has been landscaped for such a fancy location. I've put the small lily pillies at the front and a couple at the back, because if you put different heights of trees and bushes, it gives that sense of interest. It adds interest, and it also gives sort of a 3-dimensional feel to your builds. So, and I've put the lamps that you get from the mines to light it up so all beautifully, and the whole area. And of course, if you see my sign up here, I've followed them through. I literally just built out a block of dirt along the edge so that I could put the letters across the middle. And because it's called Jackaroo Park, of course we've got the concrete jackaroo there. And when you talk about repeating that feature, here in the lake, of course, on each side of the fountain, we have a gold jackaroo. I've used just the flowers that you would find in the tropics, and used some fern seeds to decorate it all. And it all ties it together really well because of those features. The colour scheme just blends, the type of greenery, it all works together because they're usually found in that kind of location. And so that was my build there. Now you saw me fly in on this wonderful helicopter over here. We're coming up another little look at that in the dark. A little bit of a red carpet walk up. And I've made my helipad in the red with the gold trimming, and put the gold and red fancy rope fence around the outside. Once again, it just gives it that, makes the fancy first class visitors feel very special. There's my signs as you enter. You can see this build here on an earlier video I've got, which was called the secret build. So I won't show you that tonight because you can see that on my page. Now over here, I didn't want to destroy this little doggo den. I had a river going through here, but I cut it back because over here is my resort, which was done quite some time ago, but it's got the pool and the tiki bar and so forth. So I wanted to make this build come across from the centre, because usually at these big event centres people would stay at a neighbouring fancy resort and then have a way to come walking across, and that's what this was creating here. I wanted a couple of little ponds, and I got the help of a couple of good friends of mine with building these garden builds. Now this little walkway here was created by Rena, and I just said I wanted a nice little walk through joining the road for the event centre with the resort, and this is what Rena has come up with. And as you can see, if you look along the side, she's put all the different trees that are at the different heights and the bushes, and that brings back that feature that I mentioned before about adding the different height to create interest. And she's used the mossy path and the palm wood because they just blend together beautifully. And so this makes a really nice little walkway, like a tree-lined avenue to bring you back up to the resort. And on this side, my friend Leanne created a beautiful little fairy garden. She said, I want to put a fairy garden in your build. I said, okay, you know what? This was all tied in with Clover's help, so it seems very fitting to me that you should do that. She's put some nice little secret garden path coming through here. She's also done a mixture of different heights of plants and flowers, and she's put a nice little wishing well like every good fairy garden would have. Now what you see she's done here, she's taken the jacaranda trees and she's buried them at different heights, so that when you step back it creates this beautiful little canopy that you can sit under. How nice is that? And in the night light it's got that beautiful blue tinge that comes from the mushrooms. Now she's put all the small mushrooms, which, as I said, it just gives it that very magical little feel. If you go along here, it's a bit hard to see with all the trees behind it, but she's built these trees up so that when you come back to the front, you can really look up at the different heights. Oh, I can't get a good look at this from here. I'll walk right back. But she's given the different height of the trees behind, which block the building and just add that interest of all the different height trees. And she's also got a little lake here where she's buried the mushrooms, the glow buttons, I guess. Oh, not the glow buttons. Yes, the glow buttons and the little mushrooms, the ferns, lots of different plants in there to add interest and make it feel a little bit magical. She's done a mixture of actual potted plants, potted flowers and real flowers just planted. So they all just go together beautifully. The colour schemes all match. It's like a very harmonious colour blend of purples, pinks, blues and reds that just blend together lovely. Now, what I did over this, if you have a look over this side, the garden I had originally here, which was Jackaroo Park Gardens, the jacaranda trees have the warm lights under them, which creates more of a pinky purple, like a warm pinky purple to the trees. See how you can create a different look at night depending on the lights you use with other features. So having the warm that side and the deep blue that side just contrasts each other beautifully. And then you come past the little doggy den. I popped a couple of the tall mushrooms in there because they contrast the small ones from the other side, which is just like, once again, it's a little design skill when you take something and you put the opposite of it in. So this all just blended together beautifully. And now when you come from the resort or from Clover's flagship clothing store over here, you've got this beautiful little walk that will take you through to the event centre. So if you are a high-paying guest, it's all feeling very fancy and nice. You can arrive by helicopter, you can drive in, you can come in by limo, pull up in the limo spot. And I think that worked out really well. I'll just take you guys and show you up here. When you have a look at the mountain from up here, the lighting just the right amount of lights. You don't want to overdo it. It just lights it all evenly, and same with the sign in the distance. It all just gives it that really beautiful feel. We've used these round ball lights throughout, along with these factory ones, which are part of the build on the inside for both rooms. But these lights always have just that nice soft glow at night, so they're a good street light. Now what I'm going to do now is do a quick flyover. So I'll show you what it all looks like from above. Here I've just built up these little hills with a lot of the tropical grasses and ferns and tropical plants and flowers that make it look like mountains that are covered in lots of natural flora. And if we come over here, see this beautiful fountain area from above. How nice does that look, guys? I'm just really pleased with the way that turned out. This is another little pond that, like I said, we just put those little bits of fences around it. It's kind of a continuation of the build, but with room to spread out and room to add more as we continue to create new buildings as part of this event centre. Now if I fly over here, you can have a look from above, the way the lighting all interacts and the way everything just came together beautifully to create this nice little party scene. That's my awesome build over there, which you can see. I'll give away the little secret. It's my Clover's fashion design build. I won't go into too much detail, but you can see that on my website in detail and the explanation behind that too, if you want to go and see that. Now if we come down this way, there's this nice little tranquil garden with the warm jacaranda lights. Followed by the more mystical looking dark blue tones of the little fairy garden. They all just tie together. They contrast each other, but all the tones and the different heights and the different features just tie up really, really nicely. Now I will finally come over here, land us over here, and we'll sleep in the night, and then I will take you for a quick wander through in the daylight, just so you can see what it looks like in daytime. I wanted you to see it all at night first because it is a nighttime event, so it was important to show you that. It is also very useful and good to see what a build looks like in the different light. Okay, so we'll just walk over this time. So here's the walkway by day, It just looks really cool. I love the way the green tiles stand out in the palm wood and then contrast with the trees with the yellow and green, especially in being in spring right now. And the little fairy garden. Some totally different look in the daytime. It's still very, very cute and magical, and a lovely place that you could come and have a little sit and let the kids play and explore. And look at this little tree again. How good does this look? I love the way that turned out. And we come back down here. We'll head down to the centre. I'll show you. I'll start first by just going into, or you can actually see the sign in the daytime now. With the kangaroo, with the jackaroo on it. And the party lights. Now, of course, it's a very different feel in here during the day, but daytime allows you to see the different features that I incorporated better. I used the rattan tables, the rattan coffee tables there. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also used this little gum path as a border, just to break up the look of the solid marble. And because I had other gum features in here like the stairs and the archways, it just all blended together with the nice colour schemes there. You can see the stage, the cloakroom. It's just like walking into a nightclub in the daytime, isn't it, guys? It's a little, the mystical feeling of it's gone, but you can see now how I pulled it all together. It's the party table. And of course, the food modelers were my little gaming machines. Come back out here now. It's a good time to start seeing the fountain as the daylight comes on, because the water starts to take on more of a blue tinge. Almost the best light for it, not quite there, but I basically built 2 across in the centre. I'll just jump up here. It's a nice view from up there, look at that. See the little hills I made over there. And you can see when I look up here, the way the man-made lake has worked out. So I built pretty much as high as I could go. Just two blocks in the middle, then 2 on each side. And then I dropped down 2 more blocks, about 3 blocks lower on each side, again and again. And then I made these ones just a single block, but coming further out. So it's symmetrical, but at the same time it's different on each side. So it adds that interest. Come back here now, you can see the pretty blue tones and how all the flowers just come in really nicely and just make it work as a beautiful centerpiece for this event centre. So I was really happy with the way that worked out. Now, if you wanted to do something like this in an area where you've got the crops, you can, and you're new to the game, you can put blocks of 2 with a rock wand if you have one, or just build up 2 blocks from the ground on the other side, too high, and you'll keep the crops out of this area. I've done that over here too. So this crop over here, he can't get me. Even these I've built down lower, but they're on a block of dirt lower again, so you might try and get me, but he can't come in. Now, it's not to say that you won't spawn the occasional croc into the lakes themselves, but it's certainly not as common as if you've got the rivers all open out. So it's just a nice little backdrop. You can barely notice it in the background, but it just helps to keep it nice and peaceful. I've put the 3 palm trees because groups of 3, like I said, are a really good design feature. And 2, and then 3 again there. It just balances it all out together. I like the way the palm trees will often grow at different heights too, without you even trying, which just works so well. And back to the helipad by day. Well, yeah, here's my little hills. Like I said, just covered them with lots and lots of different tones to make it look like natural flora growing on a couple of hills. And yeah, here's the helipad by day. You can see I've used the marble path and the red floor just like inside. Repeated those tones. It brings that fancy feel to it. And it all just ties in with the build I've got behind. When you are trying to tie your builds in, just find a path, or it can be just stepping stones, or in this case, like we've made a row of trees, built gardens around it. It can be a road, or in the case of join one build to the other. I built the stepping stones coming down. So it's very easy to keep tying things together. I used the tropical grass on this side because I wanted to give that the whole build. As you can see, I've got the palm trees each side, as well as on the centerpiece. So it's all got that very tropical feel to it. But when you come down back to the resort on this side, I've used the fir grass because to me it has that sort of quite fancy feel to it. So I've managed to combine them both successfully by putting them on either sides of the river, so I don't have the grass touching anywhere. So each feature's using different grass, but they still go together. And on this side, there's the fence that blocks it off. And once again, see, I've used the marble in this garden because this was a very tranquil, but it's got that nice fancy feel to it that just feels like it belongs in this whole area. So, as well as using different features to join parts, it's about using your builds so they work together, putting them in areas that just feel like they belong, like you would see in real life. So I hope that helps everybody. I hope you enjoyed this build, and I hope I've helped you with some designing tips of your own. And thank you so much for joining me on this build. I had a great time building it. Happy birthday, Dinkum, once again. We love you. We love this game. And this was my little way of saying thank you for bringing this game to us. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. This is Pink, signing out. Thanks, guys. Bye.